Cruz. And I'm the inaugural Executive Director of the LGBTQIA+ Caucus. Thank you all for being here as we celebrate Pride in the heart of our city government and honor the culture, history, and community the ballroom has built and sustained for generations. Before we begin, I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to Speaker Julie Lennon for helping make this moment possible. We are exceptionally grateful for her leadership in creating my role as the Executive Director of the LGBTQIA+ Caucus. That investment reflects a recognition that our communities deserve not only representation, but dedicated infrastructure within government. This role was created to help build stronger bridges between community and City Hall, to create a pipeline through which LGBTQIA+ New Yorkers can bring their experiences and bring their concerns and ideas into the policy-making process. At its best, government should listen, respond, and be accountable to the people. This work helps ensure that queer voices are not heard, but that we are centered as well. I also want to recognize our caucus co-chairs, Councilmember Olsen and Councilmember Sanchez. Their leadership, partnership, and commitment to this work has helped shape the caucus into what it is today. On a personal note, they have also been amazing mentors for me. People who have consistently shown what thoughtful community-centered leadership looks like and whose guidance continues to inspire this work every single day. Tonight is a celebration of ballroom, of pride, and the generations of the queer New Yorkers who created spaces of joy, resilience, and belonging when those spaces did not exist for us. We are honored to celebrate that legacy with all of you tonight. Thank you all for coming out and for joining this evening. And it's my greatest honor to introduce our co-chairs to give the opening remarks.
Good evening. How are we feeling tonight? There's a lot of queer screams. I love it. How are we feeling today? Good evening again. Good evening, City Hall. Welcome to Pride. I'm here City Council Member Cheeto Say, co-chair of this council's LGBTQIA+ caucus, and it's great to gather with all of you. I want to share a few words about what Pride means at this very moment. When the LGBTQIA+ community is under attack by those wielding the highest levels of power, local government remains one of our strongest lines of defense. Our responsibility is to protect queer New Yorkers, invest in the services they rely on, and ensure young queer people in this city can grow up safe, supported, and affirmed. We owe that to the next generation who came before us and to the generations coming next. I will wield every level of power this office gives me, I know that my co-chair will as well, to give me the fight back against this assault on our community. Every bill, every dollar of funding, at every hearing, every last breath, New York City is the birthplace of the queer liberation movement. It is trans activists, especially trans women of color, who lit the spark that ignited a movement for freedom across this country. For decades, that freedom has been under attack. And while the federal government comes for our ability to live openly, the responsibility falls on cities like ours to lead. When hospitals like NYC Langone deny care for trans youth, we have no choice but to double down on protecting them. These children are the future teachers, artists, scientists, and elected leaders who will one day carry the torch we will pass to them. No young person should have to wonder whether seeking health care will place a target on their back. We will continue fighting for a city where transgender people can access affirming healthcare, live openly, and exist without fear of government persecution. We will continue fighting for a city where every single LGBTQIA+ New Yorker can live freely. You know, every June we gather in these chambers to celebrate, but tonight we're doing something a little bit different. Something City Hall has never done before and never seen before. Tonight, we're hosting our first ever ball. I've been told that we're not chopping anyone. There's no chopping option tonight. And I will abide by those rules. A battle of the boroughs. We have Make the Road out of Brooklyn. An LGBT Center out of Manhattan. Ballroom was built by Black and brown, queer, and trans New Yorkers who got shut out of everywhere else. So they built their own house. Tonight, that house is right here in City Hall. So get proud, this is your night, and the City of New York is celebrating you. Now, I have the great pride and privilege of bringing up my co-chair of this caucus, Councilmember Justin Sanchez.
Happy Pride, everyone! Happy Pride, everyone! Happy Pride, everyone! Well, I didn't prepare remarks because I just saw this show the other day and it said one word. Not one word, one phrase. Live in the moment. And I really wanted to take this in, because I want to paint you a little picture. Picture it, it's 2009, way before the craziness of what the world is today. I had just graduated high school. 18-year-old Justin running around the Bronx. I was straight.
Whoa.
Or at least that's what I told everyone. But in reality, we all really know. However, as a young kid growing up in the Bronx, even in the early 2000s, even in the 2010s, it's not always an easy thing. Even being gay and being trans in New York City today is not an easy thing. However, we have a privilege that a lot of folks don't have. Luckily, we're not in places like Alabama or in Arkansas, but that doesn't change the fact that people every day here struggle. People like me, who end up growing up to be the co-chair of the LGBTQIA caucus when all they did was run away from anything being gay. But that is the story of New York City. It's a story where you get to grow up and fully feel yourself. And that is the story of Ballroom. You get to walk in and feel yourself, whatever you're feeling that night, whatever category you are walking that night. It is the walks that we feel, and that is New York's story. So as we gather here tonight and we celebrate and we party, remember the work that you do every single day isn't just about you, but it's about little kids like me, that if it wasn't for your leadership and the work that you do every single day, a little kid like me could not grow up to accept themselves, to actually come out of the closet, to decide to lead, and to now make sure that for the first time ever, after years of work, we are bringing the first ever City Hall Ball. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. For the first time ever, I'm so grateful that we have collected all the Infinity Stones. And Councilmember Carlson is here to say this many times, but the first time in the history of New York City, we have a member of the LGBTQIA+ community in every single borough. this work alone. Allyship remains one of the most powerful forces for change, turning support into action and inclusion into progress. That allyship connects each letter together in our alphabet and builds community and coalition that has always been larger than one identity, any one borough, or any one generation. And in this coalition, there are many people who may not find themselves in the acronym or in our ring, but they are still proud to stand by our side, not just in times of celebration, but in times when we need all hands on deck. And baby, we need all hands on deck. Earlier this year, another one of those moments, of course, has come. Remember when they tried to take down our flag? Yeah. Well, in less than an hour after the pride flag was removed from the Stonewall National Monument, it was Speaker Julie Menon who reached out to myself and our co-chairs to co-author a letter to the National Park Service calling on them to reinstall and reverse their new policy. She stood with us 48 hours later as we organized a rally and put our flag right back up. This is what allyship looks like. In a moment of crisis, she leveraged our offices and our voices to make sure that we were putting the fight ahead. Speaker Menon understands that the challenges that queer people face today, from discrimination and threats to personal safety, to barriers in housing and healthcare and economic opportunity, and that is why she made the investment in us. For the first time ever in the history of our caucus, we have an executive director. You know, the best way to really tell what people are about is showing not only the words that you speak, but do you put your money where your mouth is? And the money has been shown, and with that, I'm so proud to bring up our speaker, Julie Menon.
Thank you so much. Happy Pride! What an amazing sight to see that the Chambers is so filled, and I really want to congratulate Councilmember Sanchez and Councilmember Osei for their incredible leadership in putting this event together and everything that you're doing. It's an honor to serve with you both. So I was really thrilled to make sure that the caucus has the first ever executive director. And that is so important because the work of the caucus, it was being really on the front lines. And with what is happening with the Trump administration, trying to erase history, trying to take down the flag, which was totally unacceptable, and I was thrilled to stand there at Stonewall as we raised the flag. So I really want to be here tonight, first of all, to congratulate the incredible honorees. All of you are leaders, and we are thrilled to celebrate you tonight in the People's House. And I wanted to say that the LGBTQIA+ community, you are the soul and lifeblood of our city. We honor you tonight, we celebrate you tonight, and so it is a very special Pride Night here in the Chambers. I also want to recognize other council members who are here tonight. Our newest council member, Councilmember Carl Wilson. Beautiful remarks for me, but I'm not going to go with them. I'm just going to really speak from the heart. So I really just want to say that allyship is so incredibly important. When we see your community under attack, as we see, whether it's around gender-affirming care, whether it's around trying to subpoena hospital records, this is totally unacceptable. And I can assure you in the council that we have your back and we are going to continue to fight back. I was really proud as a council member in my first year in 2022 to fund Drag Queen Story Hour. I actually funded it at the highest level of any council member in the city council, I want to say. In my first year in 2022, and I was really proud to do that. We also had a situation in my district where Moms for Liberty did a protest on the east side in my district, and we stood up and fought back against that type of hate. That is what we need to do. We need to be joining together with a loud and clear voice. I also want to say on a deeply personal level that when I started practicing law many, many years ago, and it's going to date myself in 1993, to be precise, my first pro bono client was Art Against AIDS in Washington, D.C. And I represented them, and it was honestly the honor of a lifetime to be their lawyer. And so as I come here tonight, I really just want to thank all of you for what you're doing. I know this is a very, very difficult time for the community, and that is why we need to come together with pride, with celebration, with joy, with inclusion, with love at this amazing event tonight. So happy Pride to everyone.
All right, thank you, Speaker Menon. Another round of applause, y'all. It's my pleasure. Councilmember Sanchez gave us a sneak preview to it, but we got our 5th Infinity Stone, so it's my pleasure to welcome our newest caucus member, Councilmember Wilson.
Wow, happy Pride, everybody. You know, this is kind of surreal because as a staff member, I used to organize this event, and I know how much work goes into it, so I just want to acknowledge you. Also, by the way, this is already substantially cooler than any of the ones that I did, so good job. This is really exciting and overwhelming for me. You know, growing up as a closeted gay kid in my hometown, Maryland, it wasn't easy. I did have loving and wonderful family, which is better than a lot of folks can say, so I'm grateful in that regard, but I yearned for a wider community, and like so many queer people before me, Jenny June, the trans writer who roamed Turn of the Century Bowery, Walt Whitman, who sought more urban leaves of grass in Brooklyn, and Quentin Crisp, who decamped at the Chelsea Hotel. I was drawn to New York City, and it's here that I found my chosen family. My partner James, my friends in the theater world, my activist comrades, and now the vibrant LGBTQIA+ caucus that represents all 5 boroughs of the city of New York. Queer people around the country, around the world, still dream of the promise of this city, building a life and cultivating community right here. New York's liberating dream-fulfilling promises is at the heart of the district that I have the pleasure to represent. It motivated our forebearers at the sit-in at Julius's and the uprising at Stonewall. It was nurtured by my predecessors, and I'm really proud to come from a long line of queer representatives for District 3. The trailblazing Tom Duane, our first out queer speaker, Christine Quinn. My 2 predecessors that I worked for, Speaker Corey Johnson, and most recently, Eric Botcher. And now I have the great honor of carrying that flame. I guess you could say I'm a flamer. So this Pride Month, taking inspiration and direction from tonight's amazing honorees, let's redouble our efforts to help those dreamers realize their ambitions through providing accessible healthcare that affirms the dignity of our trans community, affordable and stable housing, and support for the arts and culture sectors. So dream on, everyone, and happy Pride. Now, it's my honor to introduce our distinguished guest, Chanel Lopez, Deputy Director of the LGBTQ Affairs for Governor Kathy Hochul, who I believe will be giving a little proclamation.
Happy Pride, everyone! Congratulations to the LGBTQIA plus caucus. I am not reading this whole proclamation, but I am going to read a passage that's very important to me. So it goes, whereas each year during Pride Month we celebrate the LGBTQ plus and TGNC communities to demonstrate our continued commitment to protecting LGBTQ plus TGNC rights, uplift the tireless work of past and present advocates, and recognize the importance of preserving our state's rich LGBTQ plus history, especially in the face of federal government's effort to erase the powerful history enshrined at the Stonewall National Monument, including the failed attempt to remove the pride flag at the site. And whereas New York State honors the work and legacy of visionary leaders who dedicated their lives to protecting and advancing the LGBTQ plus and TGNCB rights, including the late Kiara St. James. Who founded the New York Transgender Advocacy Group, helped lead the charge to pass New York State Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, and advance PrEP access and HIV treatment for Black and Brown TGNC New Yorkers. And I'm gonna skip down. So, whereas our state will always be a leader in the fight for equality, respect, bodily autonomy, and freedom of identity for every person, now therefore I, Governor Kathy Hochul of the state of New York, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as LGBTQ Pride Month.
Wait, everyone watch us take a photo. Is this a good angle?
Thank you.
Look at city and state government working together. I love it. No, that was not shade. That's actually a really good thing. We should be as we should, yes. Now, it's my great honor to introduce one of the co-chairs who's holding it down in Brooklyn as we're fighting a crisis when it comes to deep dive. Your work goes unnoticed, Councilmember TOC. We appreciate you, we love you, we honor you, and come on up, take the stage.
I'm back. And, as a member of the New York City Council, I think this is one of the greatest privileges that we have. We have the profound honor to bestow proclamations for New Yorkers whose contributions to the city are immeasurable. And tonight, I get to honor one of the bravest, most fashionable, can I say Cantillas? Artists in the city. In the city. Sorry to your mom, I'm so sorry, Mom. Hardy Neff has given her life to New York City. And smart too. She walked Fashion Week and became the first openly trans woman signed to IMG Models. The first openly trans woman on the cover of LUK. And she kept opening door after door after door. Hari has written for the New York Times, Art Forum, GQ, Dazed, and Vice. She's an actress you may all know from Transparent, where her performance of Getta earned a SAG nomination. From Barbie to The Idol, and she's not done yet. Next, she's writing and starring in a film about Candy Darling, a trans pioneer and a Warhol superstar that this city loved long before the rest of the world caught up. And Hari is no stranger to putting her body on the line for a greater cause. A cause in the service of humanity. She understands the core tenets of Pride, that it is a protest. The history of Stonewall and our queer ancestors has taught us that we have to be loud and proud and never bend the knee to the powers that seek to erase our existence. While writing these remarks, I kept thinking about what Hari experienced a few months ago in the city. She got arrested standing outside the offices of Senators Schumer and Gillibrand, peacefully alongside one of my own colleagues on this council, demanding that the United States stop selling bombs to the Israeli military. That's the thing some people forget about Pride. The protest was the whole point. That Stonewall was a riot. Our ancestors didn't fight brutally from the police so that decades later we'd be expected to smile politely and say thank you while our hard-fought rights are taken away. I'm proud of Hari. I'm proud of every queer New Yorker who still knows where this thing came from and acts like it. And Hari has spent her whole career paying it forward. She has been the first more times than anyone should ever have to be. And there are young girls and queer kids all over the city who get to dream bigger because she walked ahead of them. To follow her footsteps is an honor. It's a kind of freedom she leaves us with everywhere she goes. And in a country working overtime to make that freedom dangerous, that matters so much. So tonight, the New York City Council honors her for it. For every young queer and trans New Yorker who looks at Hari Neff and knows the door is open, Hari, I love you. We love you. New York loves you. Come accept what you've more than earned. Please welcome the one and only Hari Neff. Where should we go? This side? American flag or queer flag?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Washington. Thank you so much to the New York City Council, to the LGBTQIA+ caucus, to the City of New York. I'm really moved, honored, and touched to share this moment with all of you. I want to talk about New York. A few days ago, I was texting a man I met on the internet, and he asked me, what's your favorite part of living in New York? I toyed with a series of replies in my head. Number one, the way the air tastes. Number two, Zoran. Number three, show business. Number four, everyone telling the truth because they're so exhausted. 5, the clubs. 6, the people I meet at the clubs. I imagined like a reel of faces in the dark passing into moonlight on a famous street. I stared at the faces, which is okay. These faces want to be seen, that's why they're here. What's my favorite part of living in New York? The freakness, I replied. 2 words, all lowercase, an ellipsis trailing off, implying more. Not freakiness, which implies the vibe of a freak, but freakness, a word I made up on the spot, which implies the dominion of the freak herself. I text him a hypothesis. The people who thrive in New York would be unacceptable almost anywhere else. In 2011, I moved to New York, eager to find my people. If until then I felt like a freak, it was only relational in Newton, Massachusetts. You know, there weren't a lot of people who cross-dressed or yacked and smoked as much as they read or memorized the script to the movie Party Monster or carried a photograph of Edie Sedgwick around in their homework folder or dyed their hair blue. I was queer, sure, but it was more than that because not all queers are freaks, and I knew there were more of us, and where? Well, nearly. I looked uptown in the dorms at Columbia University, but no, I was a freak in there too. So I finished my homework, painted my face green, and took the train downtown to party with club kids at Greenhouse, scenesters at Westway, ravers at 285 Kent. I met drag queens who blocked me, so I became one. I met transsexuals who saw me, so I became again. I wasn't a freak anymore. I was merely a monk. Among queerness, yes, but within freakness, living my life in New York City. Where else would the 21-year-old drag queen stand on stage in the back of the straight bar reciting Lady Macbeth into an iPhone 5? Where else could she be tipped generously for the meandering line she drew between her body and mind? Where else could she discover and be discovered, booked on a flight to LA 7 days after graduation to shoot a recurring role on a prestige television show? I went from the warehouse to the Emmys and back in the span of 5 months. That's a great story I just told. It's true. But it's a summary. Because I didn't mention that I took the stairs down from my dorm room that first night that I painted my face because I didn't want my classmates to see me in the elevator. And one of them caught me on the stairwell, and he just shook his head and laughed as I wobbled down the stairs in my new platforms. I didn't mention getting chased down the block in front of the straight bar by a man bellowing that he knew what I was. I didn't mention the hours giving way to days and nights spent grinding cabs, driving away from dates or gigs or parties where I was no longer a monk or within but way out of bounds and made you know it. I didn't mention the friends I lost, whose deaths spun queerness and freakness into questions I didn't want to answer or even ask. It's hard to admit in a room like this, but I actually left New York for a little while when I was 25. I'm not proud of it. But these are the facts. Becoming is a drain, so is visibility. And so especially was the queer scene at the dawn of the Trump era. It just was. Freakness weighed on me after growing. I flew to LA again with a daydream of going straight, so to speak, of living quietly, solitarily, just an actor, just a woman even. Was it possible? I flew back to New York the following year because I was bored and lonely. Place in Los Angeles, and I played a Hollywood Hills native as if she were a cartoon witch trapped in a Pilates studio. I started going to clubs again and met young dolls who'd grown up following my exploits. I met slightly older dolls, my age and older, making decent money and living alone. I met men who'd date me openly and bring me to their hometowns. This all felt new, or new to me. The city changed. Not with me or for me, but in a way I could work with. I'm still here. I came back to New York for the freakness, and I've made a home in it. When asked if I'll ever leave, I say something like, nowhere else makes sense. High on the city's supply, a girlfriend of mine used to stick her head out of the windows of moving cabs and scream, New York or nowhere! I suspected as much when I moved here, and now that I've been around the world, I know she was right. It's how the air tastes. It's Zoran. It's show business. It's everyone telling the truth because they're so exhausted. It's the clubs and the freaks you meet at the clubs. I love New York so much. Happy Pride, and thank you for this honor.
Well, welcome back, Karina. So, it's my pleasure to bring up a council member where I'm always able to call him. He's representing a borough where I call home. I live in Brooklyn now, but Bronx has my heart. He's bringing the money to Hunts Point. Everyone give a round of applause for Councilmember Sanchez.
I want to give before I start, there's a full packed house upstairs. So another round of applause for everyone. But we also can keep that round of applause going for our next honoree. Asha Lyons is not only a licensed social worker, a public health advocate, but also a nationally recognized leader in gender-affirming care. As the Gender Affirmation Program social worker at VNS Health, she supports transgender and non-binary New Yorkers recovering from gender-affirming surgery, helping patients navigate both the clinical and social challenges of recovery with dignity, compassion, and lived experience. Over the course of her still very blossoming and blooming career, Lyons has worked across social work, public health, anti-violence initiatives, research, and community organizing for nearly 2 decades. A Bronx resident, shout out to the Beth Borough. Lyons also serves as the Vice President of the Bronx Borough LGBTQ+ Task Force and is a tireless advocate for expanding access to affirming healthcare and support services for transgender communities throughout New York City. Her work has saved and benefited the lives of individuals and shaped the culture of our community as a whole. Her visible success in the Bronx, no less, and the South Bronx, is a testament to the fact that the LGBTQIA+, at this point, the whole alphabet, community has no boundaries. Lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and queer people live on every block of New York City. Out and in every closet. Go home, open your closet right now. You don't know. Asha is breaking down barriers and building bridges to self-acceptance, self-love, and helps us actually define what pride looks like. Thank you so much for your work and everything that you do every day. Thank you.
So I need y'all to raise the bar. Good evening, everyone. Working on it. So I'm deeply honored to stand before you all tonight. Thank you all for being here. And I also want to begin by thanking the City Council not only for this meaningful proclamation, but for your unwavering commitment over the past 4 years to supporting the Trans Equity Fund and VNS Health Gender Affirmation Program. Your investment is not just financial, it is life-changing. It affirms dignity, equity, and the basic human right to receive care that honors who we are. The VNS Health Gender Affirmation Program was founded in 2016 with a simple but powerful mission: to ensure that trans and non-binary individuals receive compassionate, affirming care during one of the most vulnerable moments in their lives, recovering after gender affirmation surgery. So what does that care look like, you may ask? It looks like nurses showing up to someone's home with not just clinical expertise, but respect and understanding. It looks like physical and occupational therapists helping patients rebuild strength, regain independence, and return to their daily lives. And it looks like social workers offering emotional support and guidance to individuals so that they can fully heal, not just physically, but mentally, socially, while reconnecting with their communities. Because of this funding, I was able to create the social work component of this program, specifically to address the unmet needs that the overburdened hospital systems are often unable to meet. And I took that responsibility with purpose, because why not be the person to do it? Especially as someone who is trans, who understands firsthand the realities of affirming surgery recovery. Yes, as you all can tell, I'm serious out. I know what it feels like to lay on my back for months, honey. And also, I understand the gaps that exist in care. I have seen what affirming care can do, right? Because we all talk about, oh, affirming care saves lives. Yeah, it saves lives. Yes, it does. And I want to talk about how. I noticed that many of my patients feel less depressed, less anxious, less dysphoric, and in many cases, less suicidal. Because they were finally able to access gender-affirming surgery and supportive care. I have seen people reclaim their lives. Our patients are able to return to work, return to school, and return to living fully after recovery. Tonight, this proclamation is not just a recognition of a program, or yes, I'm going to take credit, acknowledging myself, yeah, I'm going to take me out of it. But also, it is a recognition of a community, right, and the power of partnership. And I would be remiss if I did not say this. Our community is under attack. Affirming care is under attack. Women like me, and pioneers like Kiara St. James, Nicole Icon, Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, and so many others, some no longer with us, and some still here, fought hard for our liberation, for equality, for justice, and for our freedom. We must not allow the progress they fought for to be undone. We must continue to stand together to invest in care and to protect the dignity and humanity of our community. And once again, thank you to the City Council, Speaker Menon. Thank you for standing with us, for believing in this work, and for investing in a future where all people, regardless of gender identity, can heal, thrive, and live with dignity. It is truly an honor to continue this work and to accept this recognition on behalf of the incredible patients, clinicians, and community members who make it possible every day. I also want to read a letter from one of my patients because they say it far better than I ever could. He said to me, "I'm just writing to say thank you for supporting me through my time getting help from VNS Health. You made me feel understood and heard in the midst of physical pain and difficult emotions following my surgical complications, and you connected me to social and financial resources that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise. I am so grateful I got to hear other trans people's experiences in the support groups and for the assistance you gave me with all of the unforeseen costs of medical supplies, transportation, and makeup for lost income. Most of all, thank you for your encouragement and for reminding me I have the strength to get through difficult things on my path to feeling whole. That is the impact of the support from City Council. And just for folks to know, to date, the Gender Affirmation Program has been around for 10 years. We have served over 5,000 trans and non-binary people. Over 4,000 clinicians in affirming care, helping to transform not just individuals' lives, but the healthcare system itself. And because of the support, like we're able to cover all these vital services, which include counseling, crisis counseling, support groups, to reduce isolation, assist in addressing food insecurity, support for essential supplies and furniture, helping covering the utility costs, and so much more. These are not just services, these are lifelines. And my model is that I remember what it was like to recover home alone post-gender affirmation surgery. And no one should ever have to recover alone. You should have a care team to support you through and through. Tonight. So we're gonna do a little kiki shade right now to each other. It's gonna be cute though. So I had a father figure. To me, I saw him as a father. May he rest in peace. His name was Albert Latex Ibisu. So maybe you remember. Albert used to make this comment that I used to work really hard. And he used to be like, "Mama, you work, girl, you work, girl." That's how he used to say it. But what he used to say was, and I want you all to repeat after me, and just also look at each other when you say it, just to give it, okay? Mama, Mama, I don't know about you, but I work.
I just want to thank you, Asha, for all the amazing work that you've been doing. I've had the pleasure of working with you, and the way that you care for our trans youth in particular is amazing. I remember a time when I got a call around like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. There was a crisis. We hopped on the phone. We de-escalated it. You really do this work with your full heart. Thank you so much, Asha. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our council member from District 3, home of Stonewall, where the revolution started and sent ripple effects across this world for equity for our community. Give a round of applause for council member Wilson.
I have the pleasure of introducing Ricky Manansala. Ricky has spent more than than 25 years working alongside grassroots leaders and organizations to advance racial, economic, and gender justice. He started as a community organizer and went on to serve as executive director of FIERCE, helping LGBTQ youth of color cultivate leadership, skills, power, and lasting change right here in New York City. Ricky is now president of the New York Foundation, where he supports community organizing and advocacy efforts that build a more just and inclusive New York City. On behalf of the New York City Council and the LGBTQIA+ caucus, I want to sincerely thank you, Ricky, for embodying the spirit of Pride Month and for fighting tirelessly for a more equitable city for all of us. So it is my pleasure to introduce Ricky Mananzala and present this proclamation.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to do what Councilmember Sanchez did and look around one more time. Not just at the room, but again at each other. Everybody looks so beautiful tonight. But maybe honor that with some snaps, claps, gentle high fives. Thank you to the New York City Council LGBTQIA caucus, our co-chairs, Councilmember Jose Sanchez, Speaker Menon, and of course the caucus. Fabulous Executive Director Yaneri Cruz, appreciate me, she deserves all the claps and thanks. And everyone else who made it possible for us to be here tonight. This was a huge effort, so thank you. It's so meaningful to receive this recognition, especially here in New York City, as we all know, where pride is rooted in the legacy of Stonewall and the courage of LGBTQ people who refuse to accept violence and invisibility as the cost of survival. And we all know Stonewall was not just one night, never just one story. It happened in a city and a country alive with organizing. For Black freedom, Puerto Rican self-determination, women's liberation, peace, and a broader demand for a democracy big enough to hold all of us. That history is at the heart of Pride, and is the work all of us inherit and carry forward in that same spirit of collective freedom. I'm grateful to represent our work at the New York Foundation, where we support community organizing and grassroots advocacy for a more just New York City, rooted in racial, economic, gender, and climate justice. But this is also a full circle moment for me. My own work started more than 25 years ago when I was a grantee of the New York Foundation. One of my earliest jobs, as the council member said, as an organizer at FIERCE, created a lot of trouble in your district, which is home for organizing and empowerment for LGBTQ youth of color to turn survival into leadership, isolation into power, and public spaces into places of belonging. A big part of our work was on the Christopher Street Pier, which was never just a place on the West Village waterfront. For so many queer and trans youth of color, it has been a sanctuary, a first or a second home, and a place to find each other after being pushed out of our homes, schools, shelters, and neighborhoods. It carries the memory of Stonewall, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, street youth in Queens, and artists and ballroom families who made a world for themselves before the city knew how to honor them. When the pier was being redeveloped in the early 2000s as part of Hudson River Park, we organized because we knew development could not mean displacement. We knew history could not be preserved only through monuments, signs, or flags, while the young people who carried that history were policed out of the neighborhood. And for those of you old enough to remember, I'm 2 years old when I'm talking about this moment. So the last time I was involved in a proclamation at City Hall was in 2010, when then Mayor Bloomberg, declared October LGBTQ Youth Empowerment Month. I see a few of you in the room who were here at City Hall steps that day, or Save Rivera. There were some others that were there too. Asha, a lot of people in this room with a long history of commitment to our community. But that recognition didn't just happen. We had to push the city for it. It came at a time when the country was facing a significant and devastating increase in LGBT young people dying by suicide. And when too many young people were still being told, directly and indirectly, they were alone and they were disposable. And our message was simple. LGBTQ youth should not have to survive long enough to feel safe and loved someday. They needed safety, connection, belonging, and power right now. That work is supported by the New York Foundation in my early days. So to now lead that same foundation and be recognized for helping support LGBT communities today is deeply humbling. It's also perfect that this year's Pride at City Hall is a ball for the first time ever. Thank you, Gary Anders. So I just saw text, the Jellicle Ball, anyone else? And I have to say the category for me was unexpected spiritual experience. What moved me was not just the glitter or the choreography, it was seeing the ballroom culture take center stage and remind an audience that LGBTQ people, especially Black and brown, trans, and gender non-conforming people, have always known how to build beauty out of exclusion. We know ballroom isn't just performance, it is a house when the world denied you a home. It is a runway built over rejection. It is joy sharpened into resistance. And at this moment in our country, when trans people are being told by some we shouldn't exist, Pride and ballroom remind us that our communities have always answered exclusion with creation. When the world denied us safety, we built houses of power. When it denied us recognition, we gave each other names, categories, belonging, and of course, 10s across the board. So tonight, I accept this proclamation with deep gratitude, but not as an individual honor. I accept it on behalf of the grantees and community leaders the New York Foundation is proud to support, such as the Caribbean Equality Project, New Project India, New York Transgender Advocacy Group, Black Trans Media, New York. There are so many more. All of you, thank you. We honor the young people who made the pier a home, the organizers who made the city listen, the ballroom community that taught generations how to walk with dignity before the world knew how to clap for them, and all the LGBTQ people, especially young people, who deserve more than survival. They deserve a city that does not just celebrate them in June, but protects, funds, houses, heals, and follows their leadership all year long. Thank you again, happy Pride, and tonight, may the grand prize category be deliberated in New York City.
Thank you for those amazing words, Ricky. Ricky and I actually met through the foundation that they work at, and they were asking me questions relating to policy, to how government operations work, to legislation that the New York Transgender Advocacy Group was going to uplift. And I appreciate that moment so much because I know that you work with intentionality with selecting organizations, as we could tell by the organizations that were selected. So thank you so much for your philanthropic work. As you all noticed, we had someone within philanthropy, within the arts, within social work and activism to show the diversity in how our community shows up in every line of work. Give a round of applause for Catherine. So now we're going to get into the ball component. If our coaches want to give some words about the ball, and we're going to set up in the meantime as well. Yeah, take a look.
I don't really have words. I'm just, are y'all ready for a ball? Are you ready for a ball? Is the Bronx in the house? Is Queens in the house?
Is Brooklyn in the house?
Is Manhattan in the house? Who is in Staten Island? Also, y'all need a team that's here. I'm putting it on now. Councilmember Hanks. Staten Island gonna show up.
Tell the gay council member of Staten Island they gotta show up.
Mr. Paul. detail here at City Hall. For the first time, and this is a labor of love, for years I have asked to throw a ball at City Hall, or to throw a ball up in Albany. Every year, oh, this is too hard, it's too busy, it's too like whatever.
It's too gay.
Well, this year I'm a council member. And we are so excited for what is going to happen. Are we ready?
I am the father of the House of Exclusive Monvan, and y'all done messed around in that ballroom in City Hall. I don't think y'all understand what that means. A ballroom is a place where we go to have fun. It is a place of evolution. It is a place of resilience. Ballroom is a home that is created, a family that you have chosen. And tonight, we have chosen you guys as our family. So we are going to get this ball started. I just have a few rules, right? So as our people are coming out, only thing we ask you to do is put your hands together, make sure that they feel the energy in the room, and whether they win or they lose, they know that they have support in you guys, all right? Can we try that? Put your hands together. So we are going to get started with the first category of the night. The first category is face. Face is a category that is showcasing the beauty, the elegance, the structure, the teeth of every individual that comes out. This is where the gorgeous girls go to live, all right? So we are going to have some fun. DJ, pump my face beat. All right. For face, we are starting off with the borough of Brooklyn. Brooklyn face. the bass caliber without the bump. Stepping on the floor. What is the Bronx? Representing faith. We're talking about faith. We're talking about faith. We're talking about faith. We're talking about structure. Let's get it. We're talking about faith. The fear, the structure is actually talking about faith. We're talking about faith. Judges, do you see it? It is sitting across the board motion right over here. All right. DJ, pause that really quickly. All right. So once everybody has got 10s, the next thing to do is we gotta battle down. All right. So we have 4 contestants for face. I want to see Manhattan versus Queens. Let's get it, ladies. Bring it to the floor. Take it from the back. I need full ballroom participation here. Let's get it. DJ, start it from the top. There we go.
Okay.
This is Face, ladies and gentlemen, days and gems.
Yeah.
Who is making you feel it? Who is the most gorgeous person in the room? Where are your eyes going to? Face, structure, skin. Judges get all the way in. Bring it all the way up. We are going to start right over here. Give me 1, 2. Two, 1. 2, 2. 3. You stay. Look at the round of applause. Let's go, ladies. This is the battle that I needed to see. Take it all the way from the back. This is face. Which one is serving you face? Bring it to the judges, ladies. Skin, structure. It's about the teeth, the smile. Which one can you see on the cover of a magazine? Give me 1. Which 1, 2, 3, 4. The Bronx stays. Now this is where things get interesting. The final battle for face. Let's go. Put your hands together, give them energy. We're All right. The next category that we have is best dress. This category is about what you have on. From the toe, to the shoe, to the dress, to all of that. We want to see it all. All right? So, we're going to start off again with Brooklyn for best dress. Where's Brooklyn? DJ, pump that best dress beat. Let me get Brooklyn and Queens. This is two different looks, judges. Get into both. I need y'all into the shoes, into the look, into the jewelry, into the accessories, get into the look. It's the look. Now get into the look. It's the look. Get into 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 the look. Give me one. One, two, three, four. You say you are wrong. We have Manhattan versus the Bronx. 1 for the Bronx, 2 for the Bronx, 3 for the Bronx. The Bronx is all right. It would not be a ball without some twirls from the girls. So we are going to do Vogue performance next. So, Vogue is about energy transference, all right? So if you sitting down and you're not clapping, you're not twirling, you're not doing something, you're doing something wrong. That's what we do at a ball. You don't sit in the back when Vogue happens, all right? So, we're gonna call out our first performer from Brooklyn, Vogue. Let's go. DJ, I'm ready when you are. The Bronx has won 2 out of the 3 categories, so they are our grand prize winner of the night. The Bronx is represented by Destination Tomorrow. We have the amazing Sean Coleman here. We have Sean Coleman. That's Sean in the middle, y'all. All right, y'all have survived your first ballroom ball. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, if everybody can grab a seat, we are going to pass the mic to our co-chairs to close us out.